We've got an individual who unfortunately lost her life, but in losing her life has found the ultimate way to leave a lasting impression, a little bit of good in a world that can seem so very dark. I'm going to turn here to Newsweek. A high school cheerleader in Alabama who was shot at a bonfire underwent surgery to donate her organs as a final act of selflessness. Kimber Mills was her name. She was 18 years old and a cheerleader at Cleveland High School. She was shot in the head early Sunday at a bonfire in a wooded area known as The Pit in Pinson, Alabama. She was recently removed from life support in Birmingham in a moving, inspirational, and bittersweet video that you can watch online. Hundreds of witnesses, including hospital staffers and members of the community, watched as she was moved into surgery for organ procurement, where it's being reported that she's going to be donating her heart and her lungs so that somebody else in need may have them. And, you know, obviously the first thing that I wanted to focus on was like, this is tragic. Like, this is sad. You were just at the cusp of finding out what life has to offer you and have it taken so violently and in what seems to be a senseless, nothing to do with her manner. It's ridiculous to me that we elect people to be in charge and have done nothing about the epidemic of individuals, if he did have a mental health crisis, being able to access a gun so easily, and just the ease of accessing a gun, period, and how many individuals, how many lives have been snuffed out so quickly. We have somebody who is the ultimate definition of inspiration, the ultimate definition of kindness, of selflessness, in that she, at 18 years old, made the decision. I'm assuming it's 16 because we all know you go to get your driver's license at 16. They ask you, do you want to be an organ donor? But check the little box that said, yeah. I wanted to focus in on organ donating because that is such an interesting topic, especially when we're talking about when we ask individuals, like, you can't drink at 16 legally in our country, but you can sign up paperwork. You can sign papers that ask you, hey, if you leave this earth, do you want to give up parts of your body? And I find it fascinating because when I was 16, actually 15, I believe, somewhere around there, I remember being in Arkansas and going to the DMV and instantly checkmarking that box, not even thinking about it. It was one of those things where it was like, well, if I'm dead, what does it matter? There was no forethought into what it would mean for my family, what it meant for religious beliefs. Like, it was simply, I'm going to be dead. And if it could help somebody see, breathe, live longer, have at it. What do I care? And I want to be very, very, very careful here because obviously I think that this is such an important and vital mission. This is something so serious because there are so many individuals affected. But it's weird, right? Because as I get older, I really have an inner dialogue with myself about like death and what it means to have somebody carve into me. But first I want to start with, is there something predatory about when we choose to introduce the decision for young people if they want to remove their organs or not? Should something happen to them? Because if you think about it, right, when you're asking individuals when they're 15, 16 years old, it's very similar to the military in that I can ask you to sign 5 years of your life away, promise you a good paycheck, a roof over your head, the opportunity to advance, and you're going to, at 17, 18 years old with no prospects, think that's a good idea. And so you'll sign on the dotted line and then off you go with no way to really break that contract in a decision that won't end until you're 24, 25. I use that as an example because that's something that happened to me. I don't regret my decision to go in the military, but I do think about the fact that I signed on the dotted line at 18 years old, and 5 years of your life is given away without the full mental grasp of what that means. And so I'm now thinking about going even younger than I was and asking a kid, hey, if you leave this earth, can we cut into you and remove certain items? And what that means, and how is that age determined, and why do we choose then to ask individuals? Is it simply because that is when you get your driver's license, and tied to your driver's license is when we have decided the best time to ask individuals for their organs? Is it because that we believe once you start driving, you are at an increased risk of death? But something else that I found out about this particular signature is that it is not an easy thing to necessarily remove. You can't just go to the DMV one day and be like, you know what? I'm renewing my license. I'd also like to take back my signature on organ donation for whatever reason you may have. Maybe you just decided I want to think about it more, or maybe I'm trying to respect wishes of somebody else that I've met in my life or my family. You can't just do that. Like, there's a whole thing, there's a whole number, there's a whole process you have to go through to remove it. In fact, I remember when I was having a conversation with somebody at the DMV, they told me that you can have it taken off of your license, but then say you get in an actual accident and it comes time to, hey, is he an organ donor? They can still look at a registry. And if on that registry it says that you are signed up to give up your organs, then you can give them, because you have to call this registry or this organization and actually have yourself removed. It's not just removing organ donor from your ID, which I thought was very weird. It was a very strange thing, because it is such a righteous, good thing to do. But like so many things that we sign up for in our life without thought, whether it's a gym membership or meals delivered to your home or whatever have you, it's a tedious process to unremove yourself. And to me, something like having your body cut in two post-death feels like it should be a simple yes or no. Yes, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. I'm not going to judge you if you do. I'm not going to judge you if you don't. And then it's also led to some interesting conversations. I remember being at work, talking with one of my good friends, an individual that I like to actually have on the podcast. And we were talking to our supervisor, and we were talking about organ donation because, again, two of us had organ donor on our license. One of us did not. And me and the individual that had it kind of gave the third individual shit. Not a hard time. I'm not judging you for not doing it, but it was my thinking, or it was his thinking, like, man, have you ever thought about what that means? And like, I can't fully remember what his stance was, but there was a fear, I believe, in the process of organ removal. And me and the individual who had signed up for it went, well, we'll be dead. Now, I don't know if that's a naive take or not. I really don't. But what I do know is that the older I have gotten, the more I find myself sitting back and going, what do I truly want to do with the body I leave behind? Have I given thought to what it means? Actually, let's do this. Hold on, let's do this. A horrifying mistake to take organs from a living person was averted, witnesses say. So Natasha Miller says she was getting ready to do her job preserving donated organs for transplantation when the nurses wheeled the donor into the operating room. She quickly realized something wasn't right. Though the donor had been declared dead, he seemed to be very much alive. He was moving around, kind of thrashing around on the bed. And then when we went over there, you could see he had tears coming down. He was crying visibly. The donor's condition alarmed everyone in the operating room, and the two doctors who were scheduled to do the surgery refused to participate in the organ retrieval. The procuring surgeon said, "I'm out of it. I don't want to have anything to do with it. It was very chaotic. Everyone was just upset." And here's where it gets a little disturbing. The nurse who reported on what occurred in this operating room said that she overheard the case coordinator at the hospital for her employer, Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, call her supervisor for advice. And this is what the nurse says. So the coordinator calls the supervisor at the time, and she was saying that he was telling her that she needed to find another doctor to do it, that we were going to do this case. She needs to find someone else, basically disregarding the fact that they're telling him, hey, this person is alive. This person is showing signs of life. This person is crying. And the coordinator on the other end is saying, you're going to cut into this man. And you're going to get these organs. And again, keeping in consideration that most kids at 16, 17, rightfully so, are not thinking about the fact that they are going to die. Sure, we're all told that that is the universal equalifier. It is the one constant truth that remain, right? Death and taxes. But at 16, 17, death is like, I'll put it this way, 30 is old, is super old to a 16-year-old. I now understand more of the mindset of being fearful of clicking yes on the check mark and what that actually means for you, what it means in life and death. And this isn't even including the conversation about what it means to be a minority and whether or not individuals are more likely to stop life-saving measures in order to get access to your organs. And I want to be careful here because there have been rumors that have been circulating around that this is a thing. And then medical professionals have had to fight back against that because they feel like it is, it is hampering the positives of having organ donation. Is making more people go, I don't want to donate because I feel like you're not going to save my life, when they're saying that is not the case. And so I don't want to be a spreader of misinformation. I don't know this to be a case, but I can also see how this plays into individuals' psyche. I can see how this makes individuals go, I am scared of signing up for something so holy when I know that there could be bad actors involved. This could lead to individuals not doing the best of their ability. Too much loss of life, man. Too much loss of life. Senseless violence. Too easy to snuff out a flame. It is too easy to end somebody's story before it's even begun. But again, there is positives in this message. There is brightness in this darkness, in that she has done the ultimate sacrifice, the ultimate gift. Clearly, she has a good heart, and it'll live on in somebody else. And now at 31, I go, okay, that's a bigger decision than just clicking a box. Think about it. So are you facing that same reality, or are you fine with just clicking the box? I'm Josh JLW. I look forward to talking with you in the next one.